The first time I saw her, she was crouched in the corner of the abandoned market, trembling, covered in grime, and muttering words I couldn't understand. Her eyes, vivid violet, too large for any human, locked onto mine, and I swear she recognized me before I even recognized her. People had called her filthy, a freak, something not meant to exist in the remnants of the city. But in that moment all I saw was fear. And curiosity. But that was only the beginning. I had been scavenging for supplies in the decaying ruins of Neoterra, when I heard the faintest whisper of movement. The city had been dead for decades after the corporate wars, a place where humans and alien refugees collided in uneasy silence. Most survivors avoided contact with anything alien, especially those who looked wrong. But something about her drew me closer. A warmth I hadn't felt in years. When I knelt beside her, the smell hit me. Not just dirt and rot, but something else, something organic and raw, unfamiliar to any human nose. She flinched as I extended my hand, but instead of running, she studied me. Her small frame was ragged, skin scabbed in patches, and her limbs too thin, almost fragile. And yet, there was a defiance in her gaze that felt impossible for someone her size. "Who are you?" I asked softly, though I already feared the answer. She didn't speak in words I could understand, but her eyes shifted, scanning me like a human would scan a weapon. Then unexpectedly she took my hand. Cold, damp, alive. And in that instant I realized she wasn't just another survivor. She was something else. Something the world had decided to hate. But what if they were wrong? I brought her back to my makeshift home atop the crumbling metro overpass. The journey was quiet, punctuated only by her small, panicked breaths and the distant echoes of scavenger gangs. People peeked from shadows, whispering, recoiling, muttering curses as we passed. I ignored them. She had no one else. And for reasons I couldn't explain, I felt a responsibility, a connection that wasn't logical but was undeniable. Once inside, she curled into a corner of my apartment, shaking violently. I stripped her ragged clothes and cleaned her with water heated over a solar stove, careful not to touch scars that seemed almost sacred. She flinched at every touch, but gradually trust began to thread its fragile way between us. Her eyes softened just a little, just enough for me to see a spark of life, a spark I thought had been buried under neglect and fear. For days she remained silent, watching me cook, repair broken tech, and document scavenged supplies. I tried talking to her, but communication was halting, awkward, a mixture of gestures and guttural sounds. Then one night, she drew symbols in the dust on my floor. Alien, yes, but intelligible once I studied them long enough. Names, places, a fragmented history of an entire world erased by war and human prejudice. Her past was a tragedy none of us could imagine. But that was only the beginning. As the days passed, I realized she was more than just a child. She possessed a form of intelligence that defied human standards, pattern recognition, quick learning, even a primitive form of telepathy. Her mind was a map of survival and strategy, honed by necessity and cruelty. And yet she had been abandoned, left to rot in alleys while the world whispered of her filth and danger. I wanted to scream at them, but there was no one to hear me. Then came the first test. A group of scavengers found my overpass. Humans who thrived on fear, greed, and cruelty. They saw her and screamed, called her names that cut deeper than knives. I expected her to run, to hide like any scared child. But she didn't. She stood trembling, small fists clenched, eyes blazing. And then something incredible happened. A shockwave of energy surged from her, throwing 3 men into the wall. Sparks of technology and alien power collided, and the world fell silent. They ran, screaming, leaving debris and shattered electronics in their wake. What I saw next changed everything. She collapsed into my arms, trembling, exhausted, and whispered, yes, whispered, a single word in my language. Safe. I had no idea she knew English or any human language at all. It was a small miracle, but it marked the beginning of something neither of us could have predicted. Weeks turned into months. I taught her human words, watched her laugh for the first time in years, and began repairing her body with tech scavenged from the ruins. There were days of frustration when she lashed out, frightened, haunted by memories she couldn't share. And there were nights of wonder when she stared at the neon skyline, marveling at lights she had never seen, as if every human invention was an alien landscape for her mind. But that was only the beginning. Then came the turning point. The Syndicate, a rogue coalition hunting alien refugees, found us. They didn't just want to capture her. They wanted to dissect her, exploit her abilities for war and control. We barely escaped with our lives, fleeing into the underground tunnels beneath Neoterra. Every shadow threatened us, every echo could be our last. And in that darkness I realized the truth. Keeping her safe wasn't enough. I had to give her a life she deserved, a future where she wasn't hunted or despised. But the world above refused to forgive her or me. Every contact was risky, every attempt at normalcy shattered by prejudice or fear. The other survivors whispered behind our backs, calling her filthy and me a fool. And yet, I couldn't leave her to that fate. There was too much at stake. Her life, my conscience, the fragile bond that had grown between us, a bond stronger than anything I had known in decades. We found refuge in the ruins of an old spaceport. Docking bays half collapsed, spacecraft burned out from forgotten wars, and the hum of ancient generators our only company. I taught her to interface with alien technology, her small hands moving over panels with a precision that rivaled any human engineer. She was learning faster than anyone I had ever known. And slowly, for the first time, she began to smile, not just at me but at the idea of living, of surviving, of existing without fear. Then the final revelation came. In a hidden chamber beneath the spaceport, we discovered a containment pod, a relic of a secret experiment. Inside, holographic recordings showed the truth of her origin. She had been engineered, not just as a refugee or an outcast, but as a bridge between human and alien civilizations, a being of immense potential, feared and discarded by those who created her. She was never meant to live in filth. She was meant to change the galaxy. Her eyes met mine, wide with understanding and fear. I am supposed to do something," she whispered, trembling. I held her, feeling the weight of that revelation pressing on both of us. "Then we'll do it together," I told her. And in that moment, I realized that saving her wasn't just an act of compassion. It was destiny. And perhaps, just perhaps, the galaxy itself had plans for the two of us. The Syndicate returned, more relentless than ever. But we were ready. She had grown stronger, faster, more cunning than anyone could have imagined. I had taught her everything I knew about survival, strategy, and human ingenuity. And when the battle erupted across the ruins of the spaceport, it was a dance of light and fury. Her energy surged, controlled now, precise, unstoppable. I fought beside her, my old body aching, but my heart burning with pride. And together we defeated them. After the fight, as the dust settled and smoke curled in the air like spectral hands, she turned to me, no longer trembling, no longer afraid. She smiled, a radiant, defiant smile that carried the weight of everything she had endured and everything she would achieve. "Thank you," she whispered. And in that word was the echo of all the fear, all the loneliness, all the cruelty she had survived. But also hope, and love, and life. We left the ruins behind, stepping into a new world, one that had no place for the prejudices of the past. The city whispered around us, curious, cautious, but we walked with our heads high. She was no longer filthy. She was powerful, radiant, and alive. And for the first time, the galaxy felt possible. Years later, people would still whisper about the alien girl and the human who saved her. But I didn't care. I had seen her grow, had watched fear transform into brilliance, and had been a part of it all. She had been abandoned, despised, and left to die. And now she was unstoppable. The day she finally looked at me, her violet eyes glowing in the light of a rising sun over Neoterra, she said something that stayed with me forever. "You didn't just save me. You made me whole." And in that moment I knew sometimes saving someone else saves yourself. And that was only the beginning.